Welcome to All Ball. Format unique, all access for all y'all. What the spiel like? Back full of elite athletes that wanna teach and it speaks to the streets, so it feel right. Marcus Liberty, a legend on and off the court to give you what you need. Robert Reed is your co-host. Go. Yeah. Like and subscribe and follow like a crossover. Never know what might fall through this bitch tomorrow. So All Ball Chicago. All Ball Chicago. All Ball Chicago. All I know is All Ball Chicago. All Ball Chicago. All Ball Chicago. All Ball Chicago. All I know is All Ball Chicago.
Welcome to another edition of All Ball Chicago. I'm your co-host, Robert Bobby Reed, and I got the legend, the NBA veteran, the McDonald All-American, your host, Marcus, living in the building. What's up, Marcus?
What's up, my beautiful people? Oh, I got back to
a special guest. Yeah, I see that. You sound like, I don't know.
You don't know who I sound like.
Well, we got a special guest coming in here, man. He's a journalist, man. He's been in the business for over 30, 40 years, man, 30 years. He went to Luther South High School, man, from Chicago, started writing there. Man, he done wrote for Slam Magazine, XL Magazine, Streets and Smith, you name it. He done wrote for all those magazines, and he presently works for ESPN. Man, give it up for my man, Scoop Jackson, man. What's up, Scoop? How you doing, big baby?
What's going on?
What's up, Scoop Jackson? What's the scoop, big dog?
Hey, I'm trying to maintain, Rob. You know how we do. Hey. What's going on, man?
What's up, Scoop?
I appreciate y'all having me on, man. This is great. I love it.
I told Liv I knew when I made it when they did the documentary way back in the days with Billy Harris and you and what's his name? What's my man's name? Was Dr. Lloyd was narrating.
Lloyd Walton. Yep.
And I made my little cameo appearance on that. And I'm on there with all the legends. I made it, man.
No, Rob, you had already made it out here in the streets and in shot. Your name is yeah, you good.
Well, coming from you, I appreciate it,
man.
I appreciate it. As long as I'm with Liv, I got a rep there, okay?
Right. Now, wait, Rob. Now you know with Liv, they can go both ways now. You know that now.
No, I won't do that to my man Bob, man. That's my guy. Man, Bob
man.
He
appreciate y'all.
Yeah, no doubt.
Man, this is big, man. I appreciate this one right here, Liv. We've been trying to get Scoop, man. We haven't, man. But I was Liv, when we gonna get Scoop, man?
Yeah. I ain't trying to be difficult, man. So I apologize for making it so long. So it's on me.
No, it's all good, man. We got you now. So I'm trying to make sure my page is live because Bob said it wasn't. It was private, so I want to make sure it's not private. But yeah, Scoop, man, let's talk about some things, man, that you saw growing up in the city, man. You've seen a lot of hoopers, that came out of the city, man.
Yeah.
Talk about some of those guys that you, when you saw them, you was like, man, that dude the truth.
Well, I mean, man, it's hard to say where you start at, but like when I was coming up, I put it to you this way: I was in maybe 6th grade, 5th grade, somewhere around there. Eddie Johnson at Westinghouse, and Mark was behind him because Mark was a junior.
Okay.
Watching Eddie do his thing, and then all right, I never forget the Chicago Sun-Times. I think they won the city championship that year, Eddie's senior year, and there was a picture of Mark in the Sun-Times dunking, and it's like, okay, Eddie's the man, but why they got a picture? Who's this dude? So I started locking in. Matter of fact, I was younger than that. I started locking in on Mark Aguirre and Mark. And I had seen all the cats play because my father and my uncles took me around to see these cats. The Lloyd Bates and Arthur Civils and Billy Harris's. So I came up under them being the hoop gods, right? But then Mark, for me, kind of changed everything because I forgot how young, what grade I was in. But tell the story is that Mark became a hero because for me, I saw his picture dunking in the Sun-Times. Okay. So that was his junior year. Senior year, everything's about Mark Aguirre, right? And Westinghouse. That's it, right? 7th grade, my father had moved to Denver, Colorado, right? So 7th grade, my mom, my dad had an agreement. All right, I got the boys during the school year. You go out and spend the summers with your dad in Colorado, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go out there. My dad puts me in the Denver Nuggets basketball camp. And this is when the Nuggets were in the ABA now. This ABA Nuggets. Larry Brown was running the camp, and he was the coach. He ran the whole camp, right? One of the coaches he had at the camp was Mark Aguirre.
Wow.
After his senior year at Westinghouse, going into his freshman year at DePaul, Mark Aguirre was the coach there. And it was me, my boys Byron, Reggie, and Andrew. We 3 black kids from Chicago in Denver, Colorado at basketball camp. So Mark is like, oh, y'all from the crib? He scooped up all 4. You know what I mean? Like, nah. Y'all, man, he's like, y'all ain't gonna have me out here by myself. I got my Chicago people with me. You know what I'm saying? So it was so wild. And Mark Aguirre, you asked my friend, Mark was like a legend to me and us. And then we got down to him to like, oh no, he would be our legend, like our big brother. Like, y'all a family, y'all are kids, I got y'all. We like in 7th grade, man. And we came back to the show like, y'all can't tell us nothing, man. We just spent like, you can't tell us anything. So Mark really, for me, man, was that, like Billy Harris and them, I was really too young to appreciate, what he and Civ and all these other cats were doing, right? But it was Mark for me. That was that first one. And then after that came Zeke.
Right.
Zeke was, because my mom worked on the West Side, so I was out there all the time. And I saw Zeke's older brothers hooping. So they were nice too, but all the stories about Zeke being protected was true.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's the one. Everybody knew he was the one that's going to make it, so he was straight up protected. But watching that cat play when I was like a freshman in high school, and he was, I think, a junior. I think he's 2, maybe 3 years ahead of me, whatever. I had never seen anybody like that. Like, I thought Mark was like amazing, especially watching Mark and what he did at DePaul.
Mm-hmm.
He literally took that team and put it on the national map. And people always say he's like the greatest, college basketball player. I'm like, look, I saw Earl Monroe play at Winston-Salem, but I was too young to really appreciate what he was doing. I'm old enough to see Pete Maravich play at LSU.
Wow.
Yeah. I saw Pete Maravich, so I got how great he was. And I'm like, those two, and of course, Lou Alcindor, Kareem at UCLA. But to me, Mark Aguirre, what he did at DePaul, I'm like, he's one of the greatest college basketball players that ever lived.
Wow.
Yeah, no, but Mark, think about what he did. I mean, DePaul was kind of big because George Michael Waddell said, but it wasn't on the national stage. Mark, took that and all right, I'm gonna take us from a small mid-major school to the #1 team in the country. I'm gonna do it for like 3 years. Mark was incredible.
That was crazy. Yeah.
That was.
Here's what's funny. I'll tell you, this is where Chicago basketball gets deep. Carl Nicks lived like in the neighborhood we came up in, right? And Carl went away to school at Indiana State.
Mm-hmm.
Carl Nicks came home and was telling us, he said, man, we got this white boy at Indiana State. He badder than anybody who ever came out here. We like, fool, stop lying. Ain't no white boy back. He badder than Mark. He badder than everybody. We like, yeah, shut up, right? We like, you don't know what you're talking about, right? Then we see Larry Bird on the cover of Sports Illustrated with those cheerleaders. We like, there's the white boy Nick's been telling us about. He must be cold. Then when they got to that Final Four, it's like, all right, we gonna see how we knew Larry Bird. We gonna see how bad Larry Bird is because they got to play DePaul, right?
Right.
Man, y'all go back and look at that game and see what Larry did. Larry was like 16 for 19 from the field. You know what I'm saying? It was like Larry was like, oh my God. And once again, Mark Aguirre is a god to us at this time.
Right.
Man, we like, man, Nick's call was not lying. It's the baddest white boy we ever seen in our life. and he eating up. Man, look. I'm like, okay, Carl, you know, Carl talk a lot of junk. And, you like, we don't know whether to believe Carl, not believe Carl. He older than us. We don't know whether to exaggerate. Ain't no white cat better than Mark Aguirre. Not to us in Chicago, man. Please, we
Right.
saw Larry Bird. We're like, oh, that's a different one. he really different. So
Right.
watching Mark, Mark is one of the greatest ever. Then seeing what Zeke did once he left St. Joe's, and Bobby Knight really didn't mess with players from Chicago, especially players from the public league.
Right.
He didn't mess with us like that, and that's why I live. Cats like you, went to Illinois. That's why cats, like Teddy Grubbs and Cummins, they came from Chicago Public League and went to DePaul instead of messing with Bobby Knight in Indiana because he didn't mess with us like that.
Right.
But when Zeke got there, what he was able to do, took him to a national championship sophomore year.
Wow.
So coming up, you saw a lot, but to me it was Mark and then Zeke, and that was it for me. That's all I needed to see. That's all I needed to see. And then a lot after that because I got to see Darryl Walker hoop when he's in college. Got to see my man. I mean, cats that y'all know because y'all played, but cats that people don't even talk about, like Tyrone P. Bradley. Oh man, watch Eddie Hughes. Oh man, Eddie Hughes was so cold.
Right.
Yeah. Eddie Hughes was the color of my hoodie.
Right.
And he had the skinny legs, but man, he was. We used to go up, like I said, my mom worked on the west side, so I saw Isaiah play as a young kid, watch his brothers play. But watching Eddie Hughes, like up in Austin, man, Eddie was ridiculous. Cats that they don't even talk about, nowadays.
Well, I saw you bring up Lloyd Batts. Lloyd Batts, boy, he can shoot that ball, couldn't he, man?
Yeah, dude, couldn't he?
I love Lloyd Batts. I only saw him at Chicago State. That's why I saw him in the Summer Leagues at Chicago State. With the step back pull up. It seemed like it was money.
All day. He was one of the cats, the Chicago cats that born to put the ball in the hole. Ephraim Winters.
Yeah.
We don't talk about Ephraim Winters a lot.
We don't talk about Ephraim enough, man. Put that ball in the hole. We talk about Boise. Boise was scoring 60 sometimes.
Right.
Wow.
And people get what JJ Anderson was doing, man. Oh my goodness. JJ was a freak of nature, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so I keep watching. Right. Come and put the ball under his
I used to just watch him in the crib line, man. He was nasty just in the crib line, man.
But still averaging like 40.
Yeah.
Yep.
40.
That was in high school, though, right?
That's what
His
I'm talking
senior
about.
year.
Right, exactly.
And how does that not carry over to the pros, though? Because how long did he play in the league?
Well, Rob, you and both of y'all know this. And my cousin and I were talking about this last night. The thing about this beautiful about Chicago is that, especially coming from the league, we got that grind. Coming from from the public league, to answer your question, we know how to stay in the league. Most cats from Shy got 10, 15-year careers in the NBA.
Right.
Because there's not one thing we don't do. And when you get a cat like Patrick Beverly, who led the public league in scoring, averaging 37 points a game in high school, get to the league and say, okay, I can get off it. I'm not a jump shooter. I don't have a great jump shot, but I can score. And I see how the game is changing once I got to Arrogance. I saw how they play. So my role as a scorer isn't going to translate. I noticed that in college, but I'm still going to be a valuable commodity in this league. This dude come from a scorer in high school to have the career he's had and be looked at as one of the best defensive players. Same thing with Tony Allen. We know how to hoop, man. There's so many facets of the game we could do.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, we know how to stay in the league.
Yeah.
Like Javon Carter. Javon Carter got in there off defense over there in Milwaukee.
Thank you.
Yeah, but they had a question for you though, Scoop. Where that question go live? Talk about
Carl
Ghost.
Man, that dude.
Go.
That dude there. Yeah, I played against Carl one time up on 95th Street. You know that gym right off the Dan Ryan in the cut?
Robershaw?
Yeah, thank you.
Robershaw.
Yep. Played one game against Carl Ghost and damn it stopped playing basketball for the rest of my life. I'm like, I ain't ready. I am not ready. Go could go. And who was my man? Because Go was in CBS. Who was in South Shore at the time? Point guard. Same time.
South Shore?
Yeah, because they were battling on the South Side. Like, who was the best point guard at that time? God, I can't remember dude's name.
Was it our guy that we had on live that played at Chicago State?
Bridman?
Yeah, Bridman.
Gary Bridman.
Bridman.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So they went at it.
Man, they had a rep. They had a rep. Yeah. It was the same thing when y'all remember when Ronnie Fields was at Farragut?
Yep.
And getting all that pub, but on the south side we had Paul McPherson.
Right.
You know, and they had that battle like y'all can have Ronnie Fields. We got P-Mac. P-Mac is colder than him. You know.
Right.
That type of rivalry, like who the coldest? And y'all know that south side west side thing always gonna be a thing.
Hey,
we always talk about that.
If we could come together, we'll be a great city.
Man, please. But we need these basketball arguments, man. We need this.
Yeah,
we need
no
this.
doubt.
And before I'm gonna say this right now, and I'm gonna say, Liv, you'd appreciate this.
Okay.
And this is no disrespect to you, because you one of the coldest we'd ever seen. You know, you was on that on the bench. So that's a beautiful thing to say. But one of the coldest cats I've ever seen, and I was in college when he was in high school. But pound for pound, and here's another one that people don't talk about enough, I don't think.
Who was that?
Curtis Robinson.
Yes.
Man. Yes. There was nothing that brother could not. Every phase of the game he could do, he could play.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He could play.
I tell that story all the time, Scoop, that when I got there to King, Levertis took a back seat. You know, he was like, this kid can straight up play. I'm gonna rebound, block shots, and then when I get the ball, I'm gonna score. He basically just handed it over to me, like, man, Liam, do your thing. And I was like, wow.
That's what the great ones do. That's what great ones do. Think about, remember what Kareem did when Magic came?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, nah, you know, young fella, it's yours now. You know, I'm riding your coattail. Great was able to recognize and do that.
Yeah. And Scoop, also, man, I'm gonna just say this to you, because there's so many people that like to hate on each other, man. For you to do what you was doing and still doing, writing for magazines, man, getting your thing and talking about the city, putting Chicago, you know, on the tip of everybody's tongue when you be doing these stories and writing about things that's going on in Chicago, from Benji to everybody else, you know, that played in that era, man. And you put it out there for the nation to see that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So big shout out to you for doing that too for Chicago.
I appreciate that. I remember when we started Slam Magazine, Slam was so, you know, because it's in New York, you know, and I'm like, I'm the only non-New Yorker on staff at the magazine. I'm like, you know what? I ain't gonna let y'all do this. You know, y'all, you know, that New York, you know, New York think that nobody can beat them. Like, y'all are not undefeated in life. Trust me. You know, everybody got to take an ass whooping sometime, and y'all in New York act like y'all ain't never got beat in anything. So I'm coming from Chicago, and I'm like, man, look, y'all know. We're going to tell these stories. Right. I said, y'all, I can't stop y'all from doing your New York thing, but I damn sure am not going to let me being from Sharpe pass, and I got this canvas that is this magazine, and it's supposed to be about basketball culture. I'm not gonna let that slide without you know everybody else knowing about this story. This ain't gonna be a New York thing. Not while I'm still up in here.
Right.
So you know, had to tell Benji's story, had to tell Billy Harris's story, had to tell Chicago stories all the way down the line. Like everybody, like somebody got to document that, because it's not like it doesn't exist.
Right.
But y'all are acting like everything happening here is more important than what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's a responsibility, Liv, you know, and I always carry that responsibility, try with a sense of pride, because I know how we get down, and I know what basketball means to the city.
That's right.
You know, I know what it means to the city. This is, you know, this is how we breathe. I tell people all the time, man, you want to see some of the worst basketball you'll ever see in your life, come to Chicago. And I say that because everybody plays.
Mm-hmm.
Cats that don't play basketball still hoop here.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now everybody else is trying, like, they play ball to try to make it to the league or get a scholarship and get to college. It has cats that don't play. You take cats from Chicago who don't play basketball, put them in other cities with cats that don't play basketball, we slay them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because cats who don't play can still hoop.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so you go to the park, like, these cats are wacky, but these cats don't play ball, but they still out here hooping every day.
Well, I'm laughing, Scoop. I'm laughing, man, because I remember a dude from my neighborhood. He used to have on blue jeans, no shirt, and some 40s. You remember them shoes?
Yeah.
Hooping. I'm talking about straight hooping, Bob. Sliding
on the 40s.
Dude, listen, my 8th grade graduation, my father bought me a nice little cream suit with some nice little caramel brown steppers, you know, with the nice little weight. I was clean, right? Man, 2 days after graduation, I go up to Eckersall Park. Dudes out there hooping in my graduation shoes. I'm like,
right.
Hey. Like, man, you out there hooping in shoes. I thought I was clean, man.
It didn't matter.
Like, I don't care, man. It's like, you know, but I got to hoop. I'm like, that's Chicago. Right there. We just roll like that.
Wow. So let's get to that question right there.
Did I know Ben Wilson? No. Everybody, because I was Benji really, I'm older, and I was in college by the time Ben really started hitting.
Right.
But my cousins and all them played with him. I got little cousins, so I knew about Ben because they were his age.
Mm-hmm.
They're about your age, Marcus, and that's all. You know, when I came back from New Orleans from school, whether it was the Christmas break or in the summer, that's all that dudes everybody was talking about. They were talking about him, and they were talking about that Prairie State team with Timmy and Nick, and they were talking about, man. So I never really got to see Ben really play because I was away.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard all the stories. I saw all the film. I talked to Hambrick about him. You know, so yeah, I got enough firsthand stuff. And then, like I said, I think it was issue. I came into Slam at issue number 3. Tony, the new editor-in-chief, we came in together. The first 2 issues were done by somebody else, and then Tony and I came in issue 3, and the publisher's like, here, y'all just run the magazine. And the second issue I worked on was issue number 4, and that's why I was able to tell Benji's story. So I was able to really spend 3 months because none of the people at Slam even heard about the story. Wow. Like it was a local, like, well, we didn't know anything about this story. And that's what I'm saying. To say, y'all think everything in New York, y'all don't even know other places exist. So they allowed me to tell Ben's story in my second issue of Slam. So I got a chance to spend time with him, spend time with his mom and his 2 brothers, spend time with all his boys, you know, up at the President's Lounge on 75th Street. You know, Mario, all them cats, you know, all the cats that really knew him. Right. You know, I got to really get down with this and hear all the stories and, you know, look at all the photos and, you know, seriously, everything, you know, because they're like nobody really, you know, the newspapers came around after he passed away and they this, that, and the other, but nobody really did a story on Ben. So while did I see Ben? No, but I was lucky enough because I was in a position to get to know his life story as if I did see him. And what I didn't see, I relived through their words.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, that's what's up. And what about Shea Cotton?
Man, look, even though he's not a Chicago ball player, to me, and from my experience, this is a Chicago story. Okay. Because like I said, I came into Slam issue number 3. My first assignment was the Nike basketball All-American camp, which is here basically in Chicago, that Forrest Harris used to run.
Mr. Forrest Harris, man.
Yep. So now Todd and I, his son and I, Todd and I are like family. Todd's like, you know, I've been knowing Todd since like 1st, 2nd grade.
Okay.
So you know, Uncle Forrest was Uncle Forrest to us. So came down to do the Nike camp, and that's the camp that Kevin Garnett's there, Vince Carter's there, Paul Pierce is there, right?
Wow.
And like Kevin's the talk because he's running his mouth, and everybody knew that he was that guy. And this is before he came to Chicago. This is when he was still South Carolina at Marvin. But this is somebody that he met up and connected with Ronnie Fields. Like, hey, man, you need to like think about coming here. You know, and then the incident happened. He's like, man, I got to get out of South Carolina. They told me I could come to Chicago. So, you know, Ron Essex and all the whole crew, like, yeah, we got you. Come on to Chicago. So that all happened like at that camp, that Nike All-American camp.
Oh.
All these cats there, and they're all like juniors going into their senior years, right? There was a freshman going into his sophomore year, played on the California team. Now, the California team went through that entire camp and did not lose one game. They went through that and did not lose. Paul Pierce was on that squad. Point guard by the name of Lou Jimmy Man was on that squad. 6'5" point guard, cold. But it was this dude who was the freshman going into his sophomore year, Shea Cotton. That was the best player at like 6'5", had like a 44 vert, left-handed. But not only was 6'5", he probably weighed 210, 215 or nothing, but like he looked like Tiny from Friday. He looked like Tebow. He like just swole up, could out the. Shea Cotton was so dope. Vince Carter did not get in the dunk contest.
What?
Wow.
Because of what Shea Cotton was doing in the layup drill, in the layup line. Shea Cotton.
I heard stories about him.
And nobody could stop this dude. Nobody. And I remember when I was writing my story, like that's the first assignment Slam gave me. And Tony was like, hey man, give me 350 words, on the camp. Go do the camp, do 350 words. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do that. So I got back from the camp after the week watching the camp. And I'm like, look, man, there's more than the 350 word story here, but this is what you asked for, so I'm gonna give you that.
Right.
But I did two things. I'm like, one, I'm gonna give you this 350, but I'm gonna give you another 1,200 word story. One, because the story is worth 1,200 words, but we don't really know each other because it's our first time working together. But I'm gonna let you know I can write. So I'm gonna give you these 1,200 to tell you the story and let you know I can write. And in that 1,200 word story, now I probably mentioned Shea's name about 18 times. And
wow.
Shea will say to this day, because the 350 word, I forgot how many times it mentioned, but I highlighted him in the 350 word too. And he'll say that's what kind of put him on the national map. After we wrote about him in Slam Magazine, he was known in LA, like he was a prodigy in LA. So they were talking about him the same way we talking about Pooh. Okay. When he was in grammar school before he got to Simeon, they knew about in LA, they knew about Shea. But in that story at that camp, it was kind of like, remember when Ben Wilson went away to the APDC camp and it came back and he didn't play right? Same thing with Shea Cotton. We wrote about him in Slam and he elevated, like all of a sudden the rest of the country knew about who this dude was. Wow. And now going into his sophomore, he just had to live up to the hype, and he did. But he was, I don't know if y'all remember Rodney Rogers. You remember Rodney Rogers?
Yeah, Wake Forest.
Like, huge, same thing, left-handed, huge. Rodney could jump and put his chest on him. Shea Cotton was a little bit, because he was probably about 6'4", probably a couple inches shorter than Rodney, but built the same way. Rodney had that down south country built. Like, you couldn't do anything with him. Shea was the same way with a little more hops and a probably better handles. Because, Rodney used to post people up and do his thing in the paint. Shea would take you straight from the top. He had a crossover. He had handles. He had the left-hand jump shot. He had great mid-range game, touch. And the thing that was so shocking is that he was so much younger than everybody else. We're like, all these dudes are seniors. This dude's a sophomore.
Wow.
What happened to him, though?
At 17 years old, we're talking about a dude. Think about this. We're talking about a dude 6'4", 6'5", 210, maybe 215, 15 years old. Come on, man.
Wow.
Come on.
What happened to him, though?
He went to Alabama, University of Alabama, and kind of got played because they wanted to play him at center.
Oh.
See, that happens, man. That happens.
And he's like, I'm not, they didn't, what they really should have done is just give that dude the ball and say, go.
Yeah. Scoop, man, it's so many college coaches that's like that, man. They recruit these kids from what they seen them do, and then you get them to your school and you don't even let them be who they supposed to be.
Because, Marcus, they got systems set up. Yeah. All coaches have systems set up, and they believe in the system. And you're coming into a system. Now, they don't tell you that when they recruit.
Nope.
What's their script? What's the script that they use? Do you know the script, Scoop, that they use, coaches?
I know a lot of them. Yeah,
what's their number one script?
What? I'm your dad away from home. That's the first thing they say. I'm your dad away from home. That's the first thing they say. And the second thing they say is I'm gonna make sure they'll look at the family dynamics. But most times, depending on who the player is, like, we're gonna make sure you get into the league. You come with me, you have a better shot getting into the league. Dealing with us over here. We're gonna make sure that we take care of you and get you a good shot to get into the league. Wow. That's always the script. Now, different coaches go off other things, and most of them, I don't want to bad them, but not all of them stay true to their word because they don't tell you until you get there, until after you sign.
Mm-hmm.
One, they don't tell you who else they're recruiting.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Very rarely, unless you're like on some superstar level, do they tell you like, look, we're building this program about you. You come in here, it's your show. You got to be a special kid to get that. You kind of got to be like Kevin Garnett was so good out of high school. You knew anywhere he decided to go, if he wanted to go to school, he was going to be that dude. They're like, no, whatever you want to do, you can do.
Right.
Now, everybody else, all the other All-Americans that they may have been recruiting, Jelani McCoy, Paul Pierce, all them cats, they may not have been telling him. Because, I'm pretty sure Paul Pierce did not know what they was going on doing in Kansas. Like, you a McDonald's All-American, you one of the top players in the country, but we ain't telling you we recruiting other dudes from other parts of Kansas. And back in the day, you couldn't get in touch. So they didn't have a way to conversate with one another the way they conversate now. Mm-hmm. They couldn't build friendship because they didn't have cell phones like that.
Right.
There weren't emails all to really stay in touch with dudes when you see them at camp. Like, yo, let's hook up. No, they weren't staying in touch like that. So whoever else, all these other schools were recruiting and telling you the same thing, you weren't able to holler at dudes. They told you the same thing. Wait, right. You and I play the same position.
Right.
They coming in, both of us? Oh, we could be fighting each other. No. Now you can do that. And
you can transfer.
Back then you couldn't. But unless you're that kid that everything's going to ride on, you know what I'm saying? Then all the other kids get that speech that it's about you. Not telling you who else they're recruiting and not telling you the system that you're going to have to come in and adjust to. But that's the whole thing. But that's what makes Isaiah Thomas so beautiful is that he went to Bobby Knight inside of a system. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of Bobby Knight, but Bobby Knight was smart enough to know that I have a system, but I have to let this one dude I have to let be him. Mm-hmm. This one dude. Now, Zeke can operate inside a system, but Zeke is still going to do Zeke. Right. And Bobby Knight was smart enough not to reduce Isaiah Thomas into a system ball player. Right. And a lot of coaches, they can't do that.
Well, John Thompson did it with AI, right?
He had to. He had no choice.
I saw you was finna leave your job if they didn't put him on the cover of the magazine or something. Was that a rumor?
Man, look, I tell that story all the time. People ask about the story. And it was, man, look, it wasn't, I wasn't going to leave. Right. But I wasn't not going to say anything. I wasn't not going to say, but, man, Marcus know my wife. She went to U of I.
Okay, yeah.
She went, man, if I tried to pull that, my wife would have beat my ass. Bro, you were not about to leave on some bullshit. Black ass back there. Run that back to me. I said it because at the time, the publisher, and I forgot how many issues. I think we were 9 issues in, right? Uh-huh. And like I said, Tony and I came in at issue number 3. So we had done 6 issues. And we're probably a little over a year old, maybe, I forgot. But, we're still new to the game. Slam is probably 2 years old at the time. And I saw AI play in the summer league, in the Kennel League, on Georgetown's campus. Cats were telling me, yo, man, you need to get down here. This dude is averaging 50. I'm like, Allen Iverson, the point guard for Georgetown, who was the defensive player in the Big East, averaging 50. They're like, dude, you need to see what he's doing down here. I'm like, all right. And I was in New York at the time. So I'm like, all right. I slid I slid down to Georgetown campus, and y'all know how black folks are. If y'all been to Georgetown, y'all know. Look, the only black people at Georgetown are the cats that play on the team. Y'all know that, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I went to Howard, so I know the landscape of GT. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, easy. Right. So basically, I was like, well, I got to find Allen Iverson. So I'm like, I don't know what dorm he's in. I don't know where he is. But first black person I saw on campus, I said, yo, you know where Allen Iverson is? Oh, yeah, you stay right there. It's like, it ain't a lot of you. I know dude right there. So I roll up on AI, I tell him I want to do a story. He's like, man, come back tomorrow. We got it. Apparently he told Coach Thompson, like, yeah, I got an interview with Slam Magazine after the talk conference. Like, nah, don't do that. So when I went to go interview AI, the next day, the lady at the dorm, at the desk of the dorm that you had to check in at, she said, yeah, the phone is for you. I'm like, the phone is for me? Okay, cool. And it's Big John Thompson. And that big ass voice, like, reading me like every rule. He opened me up like I was his child. Dang. Like, he read me like, dude, he just gave it to me. And all the John Thompson curse words, he was giving it to me. And I'm sitting on the phone like, but then, and y'all appreciate this. And I'm not over exaggerating. I'm being very, very serious. I sat there because he's John Thompson. I was like, I'm getting ready to riot act by John Thompson. But then I'm like, wait a minute. That Chicago kicked in. And the fact that I was like 30 years old at the time. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm a grown ass man. And after a while, I said, hold on. No disrespect. But who the F do you think you're talking to, Coach Tom? But that Chicago kicked in like, like I said, that ass with the ring gonna lay down. I don't know who you are. And I'm like, and also he's on the phone. He ain't standing right here, so that's another thing. But I came back at Coach, and dropped some like, yo, who do you think you're talking to? I don't know the rules. I ain't trying to. So I gave it back to him. And after I gave it back to him, he started laughing. He said, you know what? I like you. I like you a lot. Okay, here's what we're going to do. He said, you take it behind back home, and I'll talk to the SID, and we'll set up something. But the one thing you cannot do is let anyone know that I did this for you. And when I was giving it back to Coach Thompson, I actually read him my resume. I was like, man, I'm from Chicago, South Side, Blase, this, that, and the other. I went to Xavier. I got my degree here. I went to Howard. I was giving him this whole, you pedigree. Wrong brother. You talking to the wrong brother. I ain't just no kid out here. And he started laughing, gave me that. We wound up doing the interview with AI, right? And I'm telling you this long story so you'll make sense, understand that after going through all that to get this story, and it's the first time Allen Iverson's ever been on. Sporting News put him on the cover, but nobody's ever done a cover story on him. First time. Like everybody in the DC, Baltimore, Maryland area kind of knew who he was because of what he did in high school in football and basketball. They knew of him in the area, but the rest of the country did not know him outside of like being the young brother got locked up. Mm-hmm. They didn't know what he was really doing, even after his freshman year at Georgetown, because the Biggies wasn't the Biggies like that anymore, And he was defensive player of the year. It wasn't like he was scoring like he was in the NBA. But after we put him on the cover, he became a big deal. But my thing at the time was like, I had gone through so much. Look, I watched this dude kill him in the summer league in that one game, and that's why I was like, we got to put him on the cover of the magazine. I called the publisher after watching that game, like, look, Dennis, I done seen the future basketball. I said, I have seen the future basketball. And it's this dude, I'm telling you. I said, we got to do a story. And he's like, no problem. But after getting cussed out by Coach Thompson, going through all the stuff I went through, I'm like, nah, man, this is a cover story. I ain't go through all this just to put him in the back of the book with like 5 pages. No. Right. He's going on the cover. And Dennis, the publisher's like, we've never had a college basketball player on the cover of the magazine. It's not happening. It won't sell. And he's like, don't nobody outside of this little 3-state area know who Allen Iverson is. Are people in Texas gonna pick up this magazine? They not gonna know who this kid is.
Mm-hmm.
People in Los Angeles, people down, they not gonna know who he is. People in Florida don't know who this dude is, and I'm trying to sell a magazine.
Wow.
And I'm like, you make a good argument. And he basically like, man, look, let me stick to publishing, you stick to writing. I'm like, dude, we're a magazine about basketball culture. I'm telling you right now, I ain't go through all this blank, blank, blank just for no cover. I'm telling you. And if you don't put him on the cover, I'm out. I wasn't going anywhere, right? But I had to throw something down.
Right.
Look, I've already been cussed out by Coach Thompson. Now I'm arguing with you. This is about the same story, the same dude. I'm like, nah, man, no, I'm fighting for this one. So he said, okay, you know what? You know so much. Let's do it.
Right.
Let's put him on the cover. But I'm telling you, I know publishing. You know writing. Trust me. Put him on the cover. He was smart. I give him credit. He's smart. He kind of positioned it. He and Tony positioned it as a college preview issue. He had Allen Iverson on the East Coast and Ed O'Bannon on the West Coast.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So he split it so that and then presented it as a college preview. So it's just wasn't to play right. So that's what he did. Wound up being the worst selling magazine.
Dang.
For real?
Like he said, nobody knew who, nobody knew.
Wow.
Nobody knew. And the numbers were coming back, magazine, but it's like, and he's like, I told you. I told you. Now shut your black ass up and go back there right now. let me get back to selling this magazine. You know what I'm saying? So, I couldn't say anything, but what wound up happening is because we were the first ones to really do a cover story and, technically put him on the cover of the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
He been so loyal to us down the line. And he's like, no, I'll F with y'all.
Right.
Like, Allen, when it comes to the media stuff, and Allen don't mess with me, but he's like, no, y'all looked out for me when all everybody else wanted to talk about was me going to jail.
Right.
That's all everybody wanted to talk about. And I never did that. I'm like, this is a basketball magazine. We're talking about basketball. That's it.
Right.
Your love for the game, what you doing, what I saw that was special, that I hadn't seen in a long time. Anybody do? Like, no, we go stick to basketball. And he appreciated that. So he and I not only got like tight from that because he felt that I was looking out for him, which I kind of was, but I was trying to stick to what we were doing as a magazine. This wasn't about his past. This was about this dude being the future of basketball. That's it. Right. But he also had an affinity towards the magazine. So by the time he got into the league his rookie year, and he won the MVP of the All-Star game, and he came to the podium and he had his hair braided, and the NBA tried to like squash that, and they're like, nah, you can't step on stage like that, Mr. Iverson. You can't do that, right?
Right.
And we're like, okay, well, and this is when the 76ers and the NBA were not making him available to media.
Because of that?
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they're like, nah, we can't. But when we came to him, he's like, oh yeah, I'll talk to y'all. I don't care what they're trying to do. No, y'all a family. I'll talk to y'all. And that's when we put him on the cover with the Who's Afraid of Allen Iverson. We spinning the ball on his finger. That was like a sneaky shade shot at the NBA. Like, y'all afraid of this brother.
All he had was cornrows.
That's all he had was cornrows.
If they wasn't ready for the cornrows and the tats and all of the chains and all that.
This first time, his hair wasn't even long. It was stopping back here because the hair wasn't even long enough when he braided it.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, why you on that though? How did you feel about that scoop with the whole dress code when they put that in with the NBA? Did you feel that was too much?
Well, I thought that one, I kind of got where the NBA was going with it. I understood what the root of it was about. And, I had been working and dealing with the NBA and dealing with professional sports a long time. So I understand, what to do. I don't agree with it, but I understand it.
Right.
My thing with the dress code is that it was on us because I always felt we took it too far.
Mm-hmm.
Like cats were getting a little too casual.
Yeah, they
coming to games and sitting on the bench. And people think it's Allen Iverson that did it. It wasn't Allen Iverson that did it. It was directed at him because I couldn't understand. Like, and this is no disrespect to AI. Chuck is my man, but you can't. And I'm gonna let Marcus finish because I know he's gonna laugh. You can't not play in a game, like you sitting out a game because of injury, right, or whatever. Right. Before the old man, but you can't not play in a game, but sit on a bench in a jersey. You can't.
Right. That's facts.
Right. So cats are literally coming to games that they're not playing in and sitting on a bench in a jersey. I'm like, y'all are taking it right. You taking it too far now. Come on. And then you wear a t-shirt. So they coming to the game in jerseys like this. I'm like, y'all done took it too far. But, Allen Iverson was the target, but the straw that tip that broke the camel's back was Damon Jones. Damon Jones was the one who, after a Miami game, I forget it was in the playoffs, and I think I'm right on this, because that was when David Stern's like, it's done. Yo.
Yeah, we still here, Scoop.
Okay, I can't. My screen went blank. Anyway.
Yeah, we can see you.
All right, we good back. Damon Jones came to the podium. I think he scored like 25. He had a great playoff game, right? I forgot what year it was. His ass came to the podium, and I had a mink coat on with a wife beater.
Oh wow!
and sunglasses.
Oh
sunglasses,
my God.
Mink coat.
Is this the Damon Jones that is cool with LeBron?
Yeah, that's his boy. Yeah, because he was
yeah. Okay.
But Damon's always been. If you know Damon stays fly.
Right.
But dude, you cannot come to an NBA podium bench with a wife beater and a mink coat and sunglasses with your ice dripping. You can't. We took it too far. You know what I'm saying? We took it too far. And that's why that's why I'm like, it didn't really bother me because I'm like, I think it's wrong and I get what you're trying to do, but we have to take some responsibility in our role in forcing them to do that. Like, we just got too far.
Right.
Like y'all, and I hate to say it, it's like, we don't mind you being yourselves, this, that, and other, but you can't get that comfortable. You know, y'all, okay, you all know it's like, you see people now go outside, people travel in the airports with socks, slippers, pajamas.
Sure do.
You know, shower caps on their head, like,
y'all,
like, y'all gotten that comfortable that y'all can't even put on some regular clothes to
lingerie. Women wearing lingerie outside.
Yeah, it's like, what are you all? You know,
they've made us insensitive.
Right. So I get, if you're a league, a professional league, we're gonna let y'all be y'all, but come on now, y'all taking it, wait. Y'all getting a little way too comfortable. So they had to set some guidelines. Even like I said, I disagree with the concept, but I understand the role that we played in that.
Mm-hmm. Man, Scoop, they was coming to the podium, hat broke to the side, big diamond rings, chains on.
Right, exactly.
And I'm cool with the baby in your lap stuff, man, but it just became too much, bro. And
here's the thing, man. Look, here's the thing. Dude, do this. You could come to the game in that, and that's fine, whatever. But when you like leaving or when you got to do interviews, stuff like that, wear something else and then have your club clothes in the ride.
Right. Yeah.
That's all. Right. Like, instead of like, all right, man, we're going straight to the spot after the game. Fine, but come on now. You're going to have to sit up on the podium. You have to get in front of me. At some point you got to represent. You're still at work. I'll put it that way. You're still at work. Just you don't stop working in the NBA or any professional league the minute you step off the court. Mm-hmm. The minute the buzzer sounds, your job's still not done.
Right.
You're in the public
you still
side.
got other things you got to do under the responsibility of the agreement you signed to play in this league and play for this team.
Right.
It has nothing to do with money. It has something to do with agreement. This is where you want your profession to be. And at no point in time is anybody in the NBA not smart enough to know, and they know that this is my profession. What are you? And they'll tell you, I'm a professional basketball player. The first thing they say is professional. So
But some of them are treated like the dope game, though. They treat it like the streets, though, Scoop. And
I know, but my thing is that, and that's fine, but you can't get mad at somebody letting you do you, and then you continue to do you, and it keeps going further and further and further and further away from being professional.
Right.
I agree with you, Scoop. I agree with you on that, man.
Yeah, I mean, I get all the racial undertones. I get the cultural differences. I stand on, look, we should always be able to do our thing, but understand there's sometimes places where we do go too far.
Yeah, we know that. You ain't lying.
I know.
We will pull out the black card.
Yeah, I know, but we don't talk about it enough. We always point the finger like, yo, y'all messing with us. Y'all messing like, hey, you know what? I'm not saying they right. I'm just saying, look at what we did to make it easy for them to do this, to do this.
Right. Let's get to some of these questions, man, because they getting upset at us over here, man. They're like, y'all not.
I know. I'm sorry.
They gotta wait. We chopping it up with Scoop.
I saw one question. One question.
About your mom.
Asked, was it true my mom pulled a gun on me? Yeah. Yes. Facts all day long.
Wow. Now, what did you do wrong?
I don't know what we did wrong, but her point was to me and my brother, and she did it outside on our porch. We were living on 79th Street, Marcus. My brother and I had done something, and she basically was making that point. Was like, I can replace you all so quick. I can have 2 more of y'all. I can seriously. And just like that to me and my brother, like I could get rid of y'all right now and make 2 more.
Wow,
so bad.
Mama didn't play, boy.
Oh, y'all was acting up.
I forgot what we did, but we had to, she was at that fed up point. Like, stop playing with me.
Wow.
Like, stop playing with me. And my mother did, but my mother treated the whole neighborhood the same way.
So nobody messed with Mama.
My mama's nickname was Tuffy. All like, cause she was tough. Like, it's on her tombstone, Tuffy. Like, everybody knew. Like, no. Miss Jackson, Mama Jackson, she was everybody's favorite mom, but she's the one they want to mess with. We called her the militant midget. She was like 5 feet tall, walked around, cursing everybody out, beat the hell out you if she had to, and wasn't afraid to shoot you. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah. On 79.
If she was gonna shoot y'all, man, she would have did it to anybody.
Oh yeah, anybody. She didn't care. My mama didn't care. So yeah, no, that's a very true story.
So now let's get to this one right here, because everybody's talking about this one, man. The LeBron James situation that, he got fouled. Everybody said he got fouled, and he had that little tantrum. Talk a little bit about that. What did you think about that? And I know you watched a lot. I know you watched a lot of LeBron
or his reaction to
it. Both. Let's talk about both.
Well, I think the non-foul call is the non-foul. That is what it is. He should have, the whistle should have been blown. And I'm not gonna sit up here and be that dude that says, refs make mistakes and they're human beings and all this, that, and the other. At certain points, that can't continue to be an excuse. And I don't understand, from an NBA standpoint. I appreciate them doing it. I just don't understand it. Why they go back and review situations and then claim that the refs were at fault, but it doesn't change the outcome of the game.
Right.
What's the point in saying, oh yeah, we messed up, but it doesn't change anything? So they'll go through a review, say, yeah, well, a call was Miss LeBron should have been on the line for the game or whatever, but they don't go back and they're like, hey, we just admitted it. So why admit it? So it's not going to change anything, right?
Right.
Now with LeBron, but LeBron's going to do that anyway, and I'm not saying that he's a prima donna like that, but there are certain players that are going to react that way because they believe they should get all the calls. LeBron James is no different with Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was the same way. Magic, Magic never believed he ever carried the ball, never believed he ever traveled. Any call on Magic would whine, bitch, complain, argue, tantrum. But that's Magic. But Magic, like, no, me. I think when I'm on this court, I'm flawless. You know what I'm saying? So LeBron is kind of the same way. You know, and I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. What I do think we need to take consideration is, I think, part of LeBron's tantrum comes from the frustration over the last maybe 10 games with the Lakers and the way they've been losing, you know, these close games.
Yeah, they
you know what I'm saying? And how they're like, we're in 13th spot, but we're 3 games out of the 4th spot. We can't afford to keep losing these type of like games they're losing games by like half a point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I think LeBron's reaction is the culmination of probably the last 10 games building up in, you know, like we gotta stop. And he just happened to be what was that game where Russell Westbrook didn't give him the ball, made the bad decision? It was last week or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot who they were playing. But they had, I think Philly maybe. But they had the game won. And, you know, Russ had hit a shot before, but it's like, look, you got to run a play. We got a chance to win this game. And, you know, Russ got to be superhero. And he wound up losing the game. LeBron's frustrated at that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think there was another game. You know, it's like you keep losing these games and you're in the spot that you're in. These are games when you're in this spot, you can't continue to keep losing. And in LeBron's mind, he's like, these teams aren't beating us. We're the ones that are losing these games. So we're going to do whatever we can to win these games. So in his mind, all right, we ain't going to have to say anything happened last time when we lost. I think it's Philly, so I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to have the ball in my hands. I'm going to make sure that, you know what I'm saying, we don't lose this game. And so when you don't get that call, you're like, damn, even when we're trying not to lose, somebody said, you know, these games are being taken, but this ain't even our fault.
Right.
So now that, you know, you got to keep in mind, it's not just the end game. LeBron didn't have a tantrum strictly because of that. He had a tantrum because he's ended his game bringing all that into him.
Right.
Like we need this win.
Right.
We need this win.
And also, Scoop, I think, including referees, they're not used to LeBron James having that ball at the end of the game and trying to make something happen because he's always deferring that ball to someone else. You know, he's always having to make the best basketball play. Yep. And the argument he's always had with a lot of us is like, when you're the best player, you are the best basketball player. Yep.
You can't take the normal rules of basketball and find the open man in your particular case. That doesn't apply.
Right.
When you're the best player, every time the ball's in your hand at the end of the game, that's the best play.
Right.
LeBron doesn't get that. And Magic Johnson has always said, you can't play the first quarter. You can't play the fourth quarter the way you played the first quarter. Fourth quarter is different.
Yeah.
Right.
It's your turn.
It's your time. All the right decisions. And Robert, you know that because you play, you know. First quarter plays different than it does in the fourth quarter. Every player's energy, strategy, everything changes. It's different. So while you're playing the correct way in the first quarter, you know there's 3 other quarters you got to play. You're not trying. You know you may be able to win part of the game here, win part of the quarter, but when the game's on the line, it's different. That doesn't happen in the first quarter.
Right.
So the right basketball play isn't always hitting the open man, unless the open man knows it's coming to them. Unless you got to play the line, like Mike to Steve Kerr, like Mike to John Paxson. Right. Hey, be ready. Like we're running a play specifically to do this.
Right.
A lot of times with LeBron, it's just in the moment of the game. And if cats ain't ready, like if there was not a timeout to let you know that this is coming to you,
they're not ready.
Everybody ain't ready for that. Everybody ready. And in their minds, they're thinking the same thing we are. Like, dude, you're that dude.
Yep.
Hey, Scoop, talk about the comparisons with him and Mike.
Right.
Talk about the comparisons with him and Mike, though. With everybody always comparing these guys, man.
Yeah, I've always had a problem with that, Rob, to be honest with you, man, because I don't want to get too deep and philosophical on it, but I've always had a problem with that on various levels. I think LeBron is, it's hard for me to argue with people who feel that he is the greatest of all time. And, in my mind, one, it's not really that important, I don't think, and it shouldn't be national dialogue. But
Right.
I don't argue with people. I don't have any argument with people who feel that he is not. If you feel he's the greatest, I can't argue. He's done enough for me not even to argue with that.
Right.
My argument is this, though. When did LeBron leapfrog over Magic Johnson to get to the mic conversation? Like, we've been having this mic conversation with LeBron for probably 10 years now, correct? Is that fair?
Right. Yeah, at least.
Okay, so when did he just jump over Magic Johnson?
Right.
As if Magic didn't exist in the conversation.
Right.
Wow.
I'm not mad at the Mike LeBron thing. I just want to know when did he just leap over Magic? Because we never had a LeBron Magic conversation, did we?
Because he played more like Magic, right?
That's it.
He's
And
more like Magic.
We should have had a LeBron Magic conversation and then a LeBron Mike conversation. Like 10 years ago, we should have been having a LeBron Magic conversation. Like, oh, is he as great as Magic? He don't have as many wins as Magic. He ain't got as many MVPs as Magic yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But he's at Magic level right now. We need to have that conversation. But he just
before he even get to ice.
Yeah, he just like, I'm like, what is this? So that's. But am I right?
You're right. You're right.
Okay, right. So
even Bean, I like Kobe, man.
Right, fine. I mean, we can have the Kobe conversation too, which I think is another fair. But I'm talking like, and we didn't even have a Kobe conversation of really his greatness. He just played like Mike,
right?
And he's, even Magic Johnson, he's the greatest Laker, and even Laker fans argue that. Like, I don't know about that. You still splitting hairs between that, and that's Magic being nice and Magic, whatever.
Right.
But LeBron is different in that I think he just went over a whole bunch of people into this mic conversation.
Right.
And my thing is that Magic was never discussed. And I think Magic and LeBron, partially because they play similar. And I think if you look at the time 10 years ago, the numbers were very similar, and they were comparable for us to have that conversation.
Right.
The bigger problem I have, though, is the way the conversation was shaped by us. And when I say us, I mean the media. And I'm specifically going to put the finger on us at ESPN because we started this narrative. And we used LeBron, in my mind, as a platform to shape this debate era that we're living in sports. So if you really look at what ESPN has done over the course of this embrace debate theme that they've done is predicated off of really one narrative, and everything else falls under that. And that's the LeBron Mike conversation, which ESPN has made national conversation over the last 10 years. They've done this, and they've done it purposely because it drives numbers and it gets people engaged in talking in places where even though they don't even deal with ESPN, in barbershops, in bars, you know what I'm saying? In cabs, in elevators, on podcasts, you know what I'm saying? We started a debate that we know the nation is going to fall into, because we're all consumers. And the media understands more than anything how they have the power to shape the agenda of public discourse. They know that. So we watch the news and other areas of information where we get information, other sources, they dictate what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Like the news is why, Tyree Nichols is being talked about in Memphis. They're the ones that's leading that. The news is the one that showed us how those policemen took that man's life. So we look at that, and now once we turn off the radios and podcasts and televisions, I said that we as human beings are going to have discussions because of what we saw there, right? What we saw in the news. It's the same thing. The news and media understands the power they have to, once again, shape public conversation,
Mhm.
shape narratives of what we as consumers are going to talk about in our everyday lives. So ESPN very smartly, very brilliantly chose a narrative to start with LeBron James and Michael Jordan, and knew if they kept pushing it, everybody was going to fall in line for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like the banana in the tailpipe thing. Like, we all fell for this.
Yeah, we sure did.
We all fell for this. Now, I said I wasn't going to get too philosophical. I think that's cool because I understand the business model that they set up and how important that was. And that basically it's a brilliant move, right? Especially from a business standpoint. The problem I have with it is that it's created also not just debate, but it's created divisiveness as far as how we conversate with one another and how we communicate with one another about a certain area. And at the center of this divisiveness is two black men.
Yeah.
We don't have this type of argument about any other individuals in sport.
Nope.
The way we do this. We didn't have this argument about Tiger Woods and Jack Nicholson.
Nope.
We didn't have this argument about Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Novak Djokovic.
Nope.
Here's the thing. In tennis, you have three. That's not even an argument. These are the three best players ever. The three GOATs playing at one time. But yet we're not arguing about
the best.
We're not splitting hairs between them. We just accept all three.
Yep.
I said that yesterday, Scoop. I said we do that all the time.
Right. We're not arguing. Are we arguing over Ben Harper? Bryce Harper and Mike Trout about who's the best between them? Are we having that argument?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? What we should be having, like who's the GOAT baseball player?
Right.
We could be having that argument.
No,
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not arguing over whether Satchel Paige was greater than Sandy Koufax. We're not arguing, whether Roger Clemens was better than Pedro Martinez as like pitchers. We're not arguing over, Mariano Rivera and whoever else, Dennis Eckersley as the greatest closer. We're not arguing. There's no argument in football really about Tom Brady and Joe Montana or Jerry Rice. Never, right. We're not having these arguments, right?
No.
But two black men in the black sport, oh yeah, we're gonna argue about that.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a 10-year we're gonna have a 10-year argument about that.
Wow.
And Mike ain't played in 30 years.
Thank you. But who's having this argument? The argument is about two brothers. And now we got all brothers having this argument, which creates what? Divisiveness.
Yeah.
So the philosophical side of me is like, I get what they did from a business standpoint to create this narrative. I get it. But from a societal standpoint, from a cultural standpoint, from a philosophical standpoint,
It's tearing us down.
How they did it, two black men against each other, and now has us having divisive arguments
Yeah.
over their careers.
Because the people want to fight. There's some people that want to fight.
All day.
And I put up a post yesterday on my page. I went live about that hating versus debate. Like we can have healthy debates, but this LeBron Michael Jordan thing is turning into a lot of hate amongst each other.
Because it's going on so long. It hasn't died. That's the thing. It hasn't died. Like at some point, everybody's gonna bring up, well, if LeBron does this, and like right now, it's going on now because he's about to break the scoring record.
But Kareem wasn't even considered the GOAT. Mike was.
I know, because it's not all about points. But I'm gonna tell you, look, you're right. But here's the thing: I want y'all to pay attention to the real small nuances. And me being a member of the media and studying this genre, this profession, and how the media shapes the way human conversation goes across the board. Have you all noticed how they do not just stick to LeBron breaking the scoring record? How they always have to mention Kareem's name in there? As if why do you have to include Kareem's name in it?
Right.
Like, LeBron's about to be the all-time greatest scorer. It should be it, right?
That's it.
Right. Yeah.
No. Once again, you're dealing with that divisiveness. So it's about, So while one brother's elevating, we're gonna make sure you understand he's gonna bring another brother down. Another brother's coming down on this.
I said,
You know, and the
same thing
psychology
yesterday.
behind all of that.
Yeah.
The psychology behind all that. Whose record did Tom Brady or Drew Brees break scoring touchdowns or whatever? I can't remember.
Dan Marino.
Was it? Okay.
I think it was Dan Marino.
Okay. Was he? Well, did they break the record or did they break Dan Marino's record every time they mentioned it?
They broke the record. They didn't mention Dan Marino like that. But
Right,
Dan Marino was, yeah. I think it was Dan Marino. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm old enough to know that it was a big deal when Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's record. But that was because of the nature of baseball, who Hank Aaron was, and the fact that Hank Aaron was black. There was a racial dynamic and part of that story being told when it came to Hank Aaron breaking the home run record. But I need, you all, I'm going to say you don't need, I need for everybody to try to understand that that's not mentioning Kareem's name all the time during LeBron's chase to get the scoring record is not done innocently. I'll put it that way. To me, they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's really slick and it's really subliminal in continuing to find ways through, media storytelling to play us, not only against each other, but off each other at the same time.
Because Kareem was noted as not being too high on some of LeBron's antics.
Kareem's a different dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. Kareem's a different dude. Now, I mean, that that's kind of how Kareem is, and I get it. I just wish all the time he didn't have to make it so public, and there's certain things I think that LeBron has done that can be argued, but I don't think, you could disagree with, but I think as a whole, I can't sit up here and say that I've ever felt there's been a time where LeBron has embarrassed us as a people. He's done things you can disagree with, but I don't think he's ever embarrassed us as a people. I don't think he's embarrassed us as a race. I don't think he's embarrassed us as black men. We can disagree with some of the things that he's done, but I don't think it's an embarrassing thing. And I think as black men, we really need to keep in mind what we're up against and realize that our internal fight is not the fight. And because in America it's such a numbers game and we represent a small percentage of that. I think in total we may be 13% in this country. So we can't start picking and choosing to fight amongst ourselves when our numbers are so low. We need everybody together in order to have any type of forward movement. So unless LeBron or somebody like that is doing something that is embarrassing us, that is detrimental to us as black men and as a black race, we can save all that public stuff to the side. Now, if somebody's doing something to us that is embarrassing us, that does detriment and does continued harm, that, helps escalate the stereotypes in which we live under in this country, those are the things that need to be called out. That's what Kareem should be calling out. Wait for those brothers to come along, as opposed to brothers doing something that you just don't agree with. We don't have the numbers to start picking ourselves apart just on something we disagree with when it's not really harmful to us as a race.
Right.
So while I might agree with Kareem, I just don't think all the times it needs to be made public. But that's who Kareem is. That's who he's always been. He feels strongly about certain things. I just think you don't always need to say that. And I think sometimes you need to step back and look at, all right, well, I disagree with what LeBron did right here, but is it really that damaging to us that I need to go public with this? We already got enough. We already got the rest of the world coming down on us.
Right.
Do I, put this situation in that, or can I save it for something bigger? I'll save it for when he or if he does something that really is embarrassing, and I'll challenge him in a respectful way on that. So, but once again, I think you have to understand how and who Cap is. And, I think at the end of the day, he wants the best for us as Black individuals. He always wants to see us elevate, uplift ourselves. But along that way, everybody's going to make mistakes. Hell, he's made mistakes,
Right.
Yeah, so we got to be really careful about, like, when we decide to publicly call out one another for, some of the things that we do that everybody or that we don't particularly agree with,
Right. So what you think?
But
so
LeBron walked off a podium one time during the finals a couple of years ago, and he basically had one of his, fits. Like, I'm not talking to him. He grabbed his bag and walked off and stormed off. And I'm like, dude, come on, man. You got to be tougher than that.
Right.
You can't be walking like that ain't, that ain't cool.
Baby stuff. You're a baby.
Right. Right. That's what I live. But I don't need to publicly call him out on that.
Right.
You can't. Not in the media. You can't.
I can't. But no, listen, what I'm saying is that he did that. I'm like, I don't agree with that. That ain't cool. That ain't a good look. That ain't cool. LeBron, you're supposed to be bigger than that. You can handle that. You could have handled that better.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't think I need to call him out on it. Now, there was a time in a game where he hit a big shot and he did the guns in the holster move. You're like, boom. And I'm like, all right, now to me, I'm going to call you out on it. Because you know how we living in our society with gun violence. You're the last person that need to be, like, replicating anything dealing with guns.
Right.
And I know you didn't mean it that way, but to me, as innocent as it was, LeBron, you need to think better than that.
Right.
See, now I'll call you out on that. Because to me, that's detrimental to us.
Right. Especially this culture we in right now, Scoop.
Right, exactly. So I'm like, yo, you can never lose sight of who we are and what we're going through. So you even giving out the image, of any relationship with any guns with us, either in our hands or at the other end of it. You the wrong one, dude. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Somebody else.
Everything Bron do is acceptable.
Right. Now, to me, that's worth calling out. Having, feeling some type of way about how to, not answering and acting. That's not detrimental to us. And that's what I'm saying. That's the comparison I wanted to make to let y'all understand that everything doesn't need to be called out.
Right.
But when it becomes something that is going to be harmful and that can fall back on us and be detrimental to us, that's when I think we have the right to, step up and say, hey, man, hey, yo, you gotta rise above this. My man, I'm gonna call you out on this. And not call you out in a bad way, but I need you to think about this way. I need to think about on this, because this one, this really isn't a good look for all of us. It's different between not being a good look for you and not being a good look for all of us. And when you're in LeBron James and Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, when you're in that stratosphere, you need to be called out for certain things,
Yeah, man.
It's no different than like Kanye. Like, dude, we can let some things go, but some things need to be checked. Like, yo.
Yeah, saying Donald Trump is your father. I mean, you gotta check you on that, y'all.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
you say that's your dad.
Yo, bro, we need.
You can say a lot of things, but don't say that, Kanye.
Don't, right.
Lee, what was you finna ask him though? I was looking at that question. What was you finna ask him?
The Shannon. Well, for one, I wanted to talk about what we seeing going on in Memphis with Ja Morant and his entourage, right? Pops, T. Morant, with the Shannon Sharpe situation that happened. These are questions that people are asking on our timeline about the Shannon Sharpe and the Memphis, Grizzlies.
That's a great question. I was talking to my cousin about this yesterday too. I appreciate Shannon's apology. I appreciate it. Do I think he needed to do it? Probably for himself, he needed to do it. My thing, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about, LeBron, about you can't forget. You can never forget your situation, and you never should forget who you are. And Shannon Sharpe still is, at the end of the day, yes, he is a Hall of Fame football player, a former, football great, this and the other. But at the end of the day, right now, he is a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
He has a platform where he comes on every day and acts as a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
You could not forget your profession. Now, I get you going to the games being a fan. You know what I'm saying? Spike Lee's a fan. Drake's a fan.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But you, Shannon Sharpe, as a journalist, cannot get so caught up in fandom that you forget what you have to do every day.
Mm-hmm.
Spike Lee and Drake don't have to get up the next morning and speak to us about sports.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have a journalistic responsibility to stay true to a profession. Spike Lee has a responsibility as a filmmaker. He's not a sports journalist. Drake has a responsibility as a musician. He's not a sports journalist. And as a black man who is now a sports journalist, you carry a strong responsibility because there's not many of us in this field.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And we look to you for knowledge. We look to you for education. We look to you as the word we're going to stand on because you're representing who? Us in this sports field as a journalist. You cannot get so caught up as a fan at a game that you forget that.
Right.
And Shannon did that. And
Wow.
I want to emphasize that he can go to a game as a fan. That's fine. But you cannot forget who you are.
You're in the public eye, yeah, definitely.
I think it's a lot of that going on, Scoop, with a lot of these super talented, super rich guys that's in the media or whatever in sports. They want to stay true to the hood, stay true to their roots, and show people that they can, I can hold my own, What's going on? Is it social media that's overly hyping people, man? You think social media is damaging us?
I think it has the power to damage us. But like anything else, it's like, Rob, it's like this. A knife could be one of two things. It could be a weapon or it could be a tool. All right? Same thing with social media. It could be great for us and it could be damaging. It's all a matter of how we use it and how we decide to engage in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't come out here and make a blanket statement and say, hey, it's damaging us. I know because there's some benefits, there's some great things to it. It's all about the usage of it though.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I see it. I do see where it can be problematic. If not used the right way and if not taken the right way. It has presented itself to be a platform for people to harm other people in certain ways about how they're spoken about and what they're able to see and visualize and how they're actually able to look at themselves or, communicate with other individuals. It has the power to be harmful. We've seen that, if in the wrong hands, it has the power to shape elections.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It has the power to do a lot of things that can be damaging to society. But at the same time, you look at how it's put people together that haven't been able to put together. You look at how it's been able to make people engage and build relationships with people they probably haven't had a chance to with. People can see family members that they weren't unable to see because they can't afford the flights and all this and the other, but they can use Zoom as a way to connect during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right.
When we couldn't see each other face to face. Social media became the great savior of us connecting with each other as human beings.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. There's too much good to really just say, no, it's damaging us. It can be used for good, but it's all a matter of just how we use it.
That's why we started All Ball Chicago.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Our first show was on Kobe Bryant, January 27th of 2000, Liv.
Yeah.
Hey, Scoop, Spike Lee have any influence on you? Because you always put me in the mind of Spike Lee.
Big time. I ain't gonna lie, big time. Big time. If it wasn't for that brother, really, man, somewhat paving the way, he gave me a blueprint of how I could function as as an independent content creator.
Okay.
He really did. And Spike's a little older than me, but it was Nelson George who really was the blueprint for me to really understand, what being a writer was really all about. As a black man, because I was reading this stuff in Billboard magazine, and when I was in college, and I was like, "Yo, this brother is the stuff he was talking about, and how he was presenting black music and black music culture was incredible to me." And it's like, yo, I don't know if I could do what he's doing as well as he's doing, but I sure would like to try, because what this, what he was doing was amazing, right? But at the same time, when I was in college, Spike dropped Joey's Bed-Stuy Barber, which is his first student film that he did. And I got to see that, and I was like, yo, this young brother did this. And then I saw She Gotta Have It. And that's when I connected really to what I had the possibility of doing. And it really wasn't necessarily doing film, but it was seeing not only the possibilities of what Spike was able to do and create on his own, but also seeing myself literally in him. Same size, same
demeanor, the whole thing, man.
Right. I mean, no, Rob, I'm gonna tell you how deep this really goes, though. You gotta understand. We're about the same size, about the same weight. He's from Chicago. Like, the character Mookie that he did is basically Spike. That's him.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's me.
Yeah.
Same guy with my gym shoe collection, with my Jordan fresh, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Baseball. I had on he had on Yankee. I had on my Mets hat. This is me in college in New Orleans. I'm that same dude. I'm Mookie.
Right.
Wow.
I'm like, yo, so I'm seeing this dude, but what I'm learning from this is that he did this on his own. Like, he started his own company and is doing this through this 40 Acres and a Mule film company. This is him. Yeah. He got the money himself. And this is where it really got deep, Rob. Really got deep. Spike Lee, right? Spike's his nickname. His first name is Shelton. His middle name is Jackson.
Sure is.
What's my last name? Jackson.
Wow.
Right.
My first name is Robert, like you. What's my nickname? Scoop.
Scoop.
Wow.
He goes through life as Spike. I go through life as Scoop.
Scoop. Right.
His middle name is my last name.
Right.
You know, so it's connecting too much. I'm like,
alignment.
Right, it's alignment. So when I graduated from grad school at Howard, the first thing I did, like 6 months after, no, it wasn't even 6 months. I graduated in May, September of 1991. I started my own company. The same way Spike did for it. He was the blueprint. I said, all right, I'm gonna start this thing. I'm gonna start my own company, small, just like Spike did, and I'm gonna do the same thing he did. I'm just gonna do it in another lane. So I followed this cat because he laid the groundwork, and still to this day, I still got my own company. I've every contract, all the places I ever worked have been contracts through my company. Doing Slam magazine with Harris Publication, they didn't hire me as a writer. I had a contract to provide services through Strong Island Media, my company. Same way Spike does his film. Exact same thing. So, yeah, man, dude has been an influence to me in such a large way because he gave me a blueprint to be like, all right, I can be, it's people call it entrepreneurship, which is fine. But my thing is that I can basically, be an independent Black content creator. And I watched this guy do that. And all I got to do is just do it in another lane. Wow. Do another. And what's really cool is that over the years, I've gotten to become friends with him. You know what I'm saying? That's what really makes it cool. Cool. I've gotten a situation where, he is seen and, respects my work. It's like, he's not that much older than me, but it's still like, like a big brother thing to me. Like, yo, man, what up, Scoop? What's going on? I see you doing your thing. Stuff like that still means a lot. Because I'm like, dude, you're the one who laid the pay. You laid that groundwork.
That's what I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you
like Kobe with Mike. It's very similar like Kobe with Mike. Like Kobe's like, you laid the groundwork. I'm going to do everything I can to do exactly what you do.
Wow,
exactly what you do.
That's what's up.
That's what's up, and you let him know that too, man. That's what's up.
Oh yeah. Without question.
Let's get to this one question because they keep talking about the. I'll put it up there first.
Okay.
Stephen Curry. What's your thoughts on his impact and with him winning 4 titles and finals MVPs? Is he top 10 player ever to you?
Oh, without question. Well, and I'm not one to like give numbers out and this, that, and the other. I'm one of those guys that I'm like George Gervin told me, like when they were in that room with the NBA 75, he's like nobody in that room was sitting there like you number 1, you number 2, you number 3, you number 15. He's like all of us in that room were just part of a 75, and that's all that matters.
That's right.
I kind of go that way. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, so I don't like get down like who's top 10. It doesn't make a difference. If you're that dude, you're that dude.
Right.
But I'm not trying to dodge and not answer the question, but I am saying in my mind, I don't rank it like that, but I cannot sit up here and tell you that Steph Curry is not one of the 10 greatest basketball players I've ever seen in my life.
Right. From the eye test.
He don't even have to be the eye test. If I didn't live and people told me about him, I'm not gonna get off track, but it's funny to me how we always and people use that. Well, if I didn't see him, it don't count. I need to see it.
Yeah.
And those same people work and function their whole lives by the Bible.
Yeah.
On the Bible.
Right. You ain't seen. That's right. That's right.
Well, I believe in him, right?
Right.
So
you're poking the bear. You're poking the bear, man.
I'm like, oh, you didn't see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, so you're not gonna put him in your top 10 because you ain't see him.
Right.
But let something happen to you, like praise the Lord. You ain't seen him either, but you believe in him, so don't give me that. I don't need to see Steph Curry. I didn't need to be around to live to see Steph Curry to believe what he's actually done. If I was born 20 years from now and they're talking about him and I can go back and look and see everything, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. I don't need to see anything else. Like I was too young to really, really see Oscar Robertson really do his thing at Cincinnati. Not when he got to Milwaukee, I was old enough to really get what he was doing. But by the time he got to Milwaukee, he was in his 30s. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really see. I was born in 63. I think Oscar came in at 60. I missed all that, right?
Right.
I don't need to see all the film of Oscar Robertson playing ball. All I need to know is looking at the number, looking at the impact, hearing other people talk about him.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in my top 10. I don't need to see that. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to see it. And when the greats start talking about certain players in certain ways, I think it's our responsibility to respect that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when, Kareem talks about Oscar, when Julius Erving talks about Oscar, you know what I'm saying? When Artis Gilmore talk about Oscar, when Walt Frazier talk about Oscar, how the hell am I going to be up here being like, nah, he ain't in my top 10 when everybody else is telling me that played against him and saw him and played with him like, no, he's one of the 10 greatest ever. We need to stop with that. We need to take all that into consideration. So I'm sure once this is all done, and it's hard to do it now because you're playing against them. And I get where competition comes in. Once it's all done, pay attention to the way these brothers playing now are going to talk about Steph Curry.
Yeah.
What his impact is. It's going to come later on.
Oh, it's coming later.
Same way it was hard for those players who played when Kobe was playing to give him the love that he should have been giving him.
Hated
other players like, no, he's that dude. Y'all can say what you want to. But now that they're stopped playing, now that even if he was still alive, they'd be like, no, we ain't got to go up against, now we're going to give his love. We ain't got to go against. And funny thing I'm going to tell you about that, and Robert, you understand it. and because I ain't gonna call the player out. One of Kobe's teammates, it was his 3rd year in the league with the Lakers, and one of his teammates then was like, "Look, man, I'm gonna tell you one thing about this dude." He said he's the baddest MFer in this game, and everybody on this team knows him. And this is what Shaq was with him. You know what I'm saying? Phil Jackson just come in, right? Rick Fox had just married Vanessa Williams. And my man was like, look, I'm tell you right now, that kid right there is the best player. He the baddest on this team.
Wow.
But he's such an asshole, nobody's going to tell him that. They're like, he's such an asshole. They say his head is so big, if we tell him that,
it's over.
He's going to be out of right. But here's the thing. Now that they're no longer teammates, you know what I'm saying? Now that they ain't got to, because they just ain't playing against him anymore. The same people that were like, nah, we ain't going to, Kobe's head too big anyway. We ain't going to give that love.
Yeah.
They give love. You know, but they would give the love once they stop playing.
Yeah.
Like, no, I can say that now. No, he's bad. You know, they'll say it now.
Wow.
But you can't give it to him while you're dealing with it. Especially, and like I had his own teammates tell me, nah, he's too much of an asshole for us to even tell him how good he is when he's that good.
Was he that much of an asshole though?
Well, they said Michael Jordan was the same way.
Look, man. Okay.
Man.
This is what I believe. And we talked about my mother earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
My mother always had this belief as a black man in this country, if you don't have arrogance, you ain't gonna be shit. Like as black people in this country, we have to, especially black men, we have to fight through so much to not just matter. You know what I'm saying? But to get and live our best lives when we're living in a system that's basically conditioned to push us down and not let us rise. And the only thing she always believed is going to get us to rise is the belief in ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is basically another definition for you got to be arrogant to get through this thing.
Yeah. Me and Liv talked about that with his nephew and Jabari Parker.
Yeah.
About Jabari Parker being such a nice guy and so humbling.
Love him.
If he was more of an asshole, belligerent, he'd be in the league right now. It seems like people buying to that bad boy stuff. What do you think, Scoop?
Well, I think they think it's going to get him somewhere. I think they think it's going to get him somewhere. I think they don't think that nice guys are going to get everything that comes with them. And when I talk about that, when I say everything, I mean everything that's supposed to come with a career or whatever comes with your profession. And with that is not just the skill of it, it's the attention. Yeah. And I'll give you an example. We sat up here and talked about the greatness of Kobe Bryant a couple of times. We mentioned his name, right?
Right.
Have any of us said anything about Tim Duncan?
Nope.
So
his name really don't come up that much.
Kobe's an asshole. He gets the attention. He gets the notoriety. People talk about him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's out there. So because his arrogance is on the same level as Mike's, but that's what made Mike special was his arrogance. Still is his arrogance. You know what I'm saying? And you don't get to where you are. Michael doesn't become what he became, not just as a basketball player, but what he's able to achieve off the court. You have to have supreme arrogance. Now, how you handle that is one thing, but you still have to have, you know, especially as a black man, there's a reason that he's the only black owner, majority owner in professional sports. Think about that. Not just basketball, all sports. The 4 professional leagues we have operating in this country each have, I think, at least 30 teams in it. NHL has 30 at least. NFL, I think, has 32. Baseball, I think, has 30, if not 32. And the NBA has 30. So let's say we got around 120. Would that be right? 120 professional franchises in this country that function around the clock all year long. One season overlaps another. It doesn't stop, right? Of 120, we got one majority black owner.
Wow, that's crazy.
In sports, we're 80% black in the NBA, 70% black in the NFL. we got like 8% in baseball, but if you include like other minorities in there, baseball probably 50% minority. You know, but our ownership in those sports is minimal. But we got one brother who's, to many people, the greatest to ever do it on the court. And the reason he got so great is because of his self-belief, that arrogance. Every time Mike stepped on the court, you couldn't tell him shit. He
Nothing.
And that's that arrogance. Kobe felt the exact same way. We talked about Kobe. Michael was that Yoda for Kobe. Like, I'm following you. If you go to the dark side, I'm turning into Darth Vader with you, dude. You are following it.
Black cat, black mamba.
Right. So Kobe had to have that arrogance. You can't, like, what they say, you can't be a half a gangster. You can't be half arrogant and try to follow Mike. You got to be all in. So Kobe's arrogance is justified. Am I right?
Right.
And the justification of that arrogance gets us to talk about Kobe. Now the guy who is not, and when you're that arrogant, there's gonna be some asshole qualities that come with it. That's just natural. That don't mean you're an asshole totally, but there's gonna be asshole. You know, you have asshole tendencies, and that's fine. It comes with the territory. But the guy who is a nice guy, who is not really arrogant, who doesn't like do all that, guess what? He's not a part of the conversation at the topical level. We forget about it. Yeah. So, Robert, you asked, why are people a certain way? They act a certain way and like bring out the asshole tendencies in themselves, because unless I do this, who's going to talk about me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Who's going to talk about me? Because we sit up here, we talk about Kobe, we talk about Kevin Durant, but the other best player of that generation,
Timmy D,
we don't talk about him.
No.
So it falls into that nice guys finish last category.
Yeah.
The nice guys finish last mentality.
Yeah.
And people walk around with that like, look, in order for me to be noticed, I got to be.
You got to shake shit up. You got to shake shit up.
You got it. Like,
you got to shake shit up.
Somebody like Kendrick Lamar, who may be one of the most talented, gifted MCs and artists we'll see of this generation, right? We don't talk about that dude.
Nope.
But Kanye, we're going to talk about him all day.
Oh, my Lord. All day long.
And even without some of the things that he does, just Kanye's arrogance. You know, just even before any of this latest stuff happened, Kanye's arrogance kept him at the front of all conversation. It made people pay attention to every move he made, every this, that, and the other. Kanye. So my question to you, my question, but I'm asking, I guess, both of y'all is like, we're wondering why people act a certain way, but when do we take responsibilities in our role and making them act that way? Because we ain't gonna talk about somebody like Kendrick, but we're gonna talk about Kanye all day.
Yeah, that's crazy, man, because you do get that. That's what people want. You know, if I hear, not me personally, but if you hear Kanye West put out an album and then bag it up with some talk, you know, I did this and I did, and I'm that guy. But then you got Lamar who's talking that you know, putting the words out there that people don't want to hear. He ain't talking about sluts, bees, you know, girls are hoes. He talking some real life stuff,
positive stuff.
You know,
don't want that.
You don't want that, you know. But you would listen to a guy like Kanye West, who comes back and start talking yin yang, you know, this is what I'm on and into that. And then he follows it up by saying some crazy stuff out of his mouth. Donald Trump is my dad. And people go, boop, 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 boop. Let me go look at Kanye West. Even if I didn't know him, I'm going to look him up and see what he's all about.
Right. And he becomes a part of the conversation where somebody like Kendrick is like, he becomes that, I forgot about him. And nobody wants to go through life with that, I forgot about him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody really, some people do, but not many people want to be that I forgot about him dude.
Right.
Yeah, he was great too, dude. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, he was great too. He was amazing too. You know, so it's almost like you benefit from being an asshole. You benefit from
you 100% do. It's just like when we was growing up, all the hot chicks like the bad boys.
Exactly. So, Bobby, your question is, why do people act that way? There's your answer. Because you benefit and you get the full life of whatever career or profession that it is that you're into. You live a full life.
You get the money and everything.
And that's to me, fellas, that's not fair to a guy like a Jabari Parker, man, because he got all the skills, all the talent in the world, man. We know he's supposed to be in the league, right?
Yeah.
But he's not that dude. So people, tend to make him out to be somebody he's not, by saying this defense stuff is keeping him out of the league. Come on, man. That's not keeping this man out of the league. Defense.
Because there's a lot of players that did right. Because the game isn't shaped that way where defense keeps anybody in the league anymore.
Exactly.
I think the problem with Jabari is that he was never really given a chance because of the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the injuries, for the most part, and going back to back the way that he did early on in his career, to show what he could do offensively. See, because once again, there's cats in the league that don't play defense. But a lot of those cats gave themselves a chance to show what they could do over the course of their career offensively that kept them in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I think not only just the injury, but Jabari, he just got – it's almost like it's bad luck with him. The injuries played a role, but also – and this is if we're having a real conversation – nobody saw Giannis coming. Y'all know what Jabari got drafted at.
That was his team.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody saw Giannis coming. And by the time Giannis hit and Jabari got healthy,
hurt. Mm-hmm.
It was too late.
It's too late.
It was too late.
You know what I'm saying? It was too late.
Yeah.
And no disrespect, because I think was Jason Kidd his coach at that time?
Yeah, he was.
Yep.
Jason couldn't find a way to balance out what Giannis was doing and what Jabari had the capabilities of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically, you had 2 20-point scorers on your squad.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Basically, if Jason, he probably could do it now because he's been through so much more coaching. So I think he coaches different now.
Right.
Basically, and I'm being real honest with you, Jabari Parker and Giannis Antetokounmpo should have been what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are.
1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right now.
That's what they should have been.
That would have been tough.
But they both have their – you see how they've allowed Tatum to be the primary scorer, but
Brown.
Jaylen Brown is still averaging 24 points a game?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Udoka put the system in place for that to happen, and now they're following up with that within the same system that allows them to grow. But still, one dude be that MVP dude, but the other dude is an all-star dude.
Right.
That's what Jabari and Giannis should have been. Once they saw that, as great as Jabari is, Giannis is going to go further. But still, we still got this dude. But it takes coaching to make that work.
Yeah.
You have to make that work. And you all both know this. It has to be able to work on the court and off the court.
Yep.
You have to have a system in place that everybody on the team knows their role, but knows what the role of these two players are. And if you got a smart, good point guard to make sure it stays consistent, and Boston has that with Marcus Smart, it's all going to fall into place.
Mm-hmm.
That's what should have been Jabari Parker's role.
Wow.
That should have been it. But since they weren't able to get to that point to work it out, when his contract came up, they're like, all right, we're good. We got our guy. But they should have built around both of them. Because if you take Giannis and allow Jabari to be Jabari and then bring someone like Drew Holiday in there to facilitate all that,
that'd have been tough.
It's a wrap.
Good. Now, Milwaukee got lucky because they found Chris Middleton to do exactly what Jabari should be doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Wow. I agree with you, man, on that.
Hey, before we go, though, I know we probably end up getting out of here. This might be a little bit off topic, but this is a real show, so we talk real stuff.
We're gonna get Scoop back on. We got to get you back on too, Scoop, because there's a lot of questions that people want to ask. But I know I got to go, and I know Bob got to go, and you probably got to go.
I ain't got nothing to do today. It's cold here in Chicago. I ain't going nowhere today.
All right, well, I got to go.
But I want to ask Scoop this. It's all coming out that one of the police officers' girlfriend worked with the guy who got killed. The one that they beat down. Come to find out, one of the police officers' girls worked at FedEx with the guy. And he called wind that he was cheating with his ex, and they tracked him down, found out where he was, and that's how all of that stuff happened.
What in Memphis?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, one police officer's girl, ex-girl worked with him, and she was having an affair with him, and he wasn't happy with it. He told his guys, and then he ended up sending a picture to her saying, yeah, this is what happened to your guy. This is what happened for you messing with us. You messing with him. Did y'all know that? Or did I
didn't know that. You just sprung that one on me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I don't really want to talk about it unless you know that's
100% fact. Yeah. It came out. Yeah. So I was just thinking in terms, it seemed like that could have been something like that, right? Because they didn't have nothing on that guy.
Right. No. But you know what? I hear you, but it's still whether it's fact or not, it still doesn't excuse what they did. You know what I'm saying? It still doesn't excuse what they did at all. There's no way you. Once again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. Hold on, fellas. It. Same thing we were talking about Shannon Sharpe. Remember about you not forgetting what you represent, what you are as a professional, right? Same thing applies here. Like, look, man, if dude is doing this, we can, shake it up, put a warning out to him, do it cool. You a police officer, you have access to a gun, like legally.
Right.
All you got to do is hey, my man, don't make me have to come. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
Right.
That's all you really got to do. You can't get in the moment, especially 5 of y'all. Can't get into a situation where you totally forget what you're supposed to represent. And I'm just talking about what you're supposed to represent as a professional of whatever you're doing. And in their case, they were police officers. You are professional police officers. 5 of y'all cannot forget that at the same time. Even if what they're saying is true, you can't forget that at that time. And the fact that they did, it doesn't make a difference what dude did. The fact that you forgot that, that's where the problem lies. And here's the thing. I think there's a difference between forgetting what you do as a profession and, excuse my language, but not giving a fuck. And for them to do what they did to that dude, they didn't give a fuck.
They didn't give a fuck. You're right.
Wow.
And we're going to close on that, Scoop, because Liv got to go do some training, man. And, man, I'm just a pleasure, man, to have you on the show.
No, we got to get you back on, man, because people want to know about you a little bit more. Do you got books coming out? How can they find you?
Oh, yeah. We definitely got to get back on because the next book is coming out. It's coming out this year, but it's a good one. I'll share it with y'all when we come back.
Double up, man. Let's set the date. Let's come right back, man.
Well,
let's come right back. Let us know, Scoop, what your availability is, because we got more.
This is let's do it sometime in February. We're good.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll make it happen. We'll follow up, because y'all appreciate the next one. And the next book after that, I got some things in the pocket.
And you got the documentary you was gonna do for Chicago basketball, right?
Here's the deal. Yeah, that's still in play. Okay. That's still in play. I wrote the treatment for it. It's done. It's in the hands of Religion of Sports, and it's under the umbrella of Barack and Michelle's company and deal with Netflix.
Wow.
So I wrote the treatment for that documentary. So here's the funny part. We could go off this. I wrote it, and Rob, I wrote this last year. I wrote it in the summer of 2022, and the idea was for them to tell the history of Chicago Public League basketball, high school. But part of that was supposed to be for them to follow Kenwood and Curie this year, as they were both trying to get their first city championship. The best game of the year this year in high school basketball was Kenwood and Curie. And I'm like so mad. They should have been taping this whole season to get to that point.
Right.
And they didn't. I'm like, like that's the documentary itself.
That would have been perfect.
It would have been perfect, man.
Wow.
And they got back to me like, did you see this coming? I said, no, but I know the two teams I picked to build this documentary off of were going to be, they're both trying to get their first ones.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? They fighting, but I knew, I'm like.
You knew
and
it.
Here's where my arrogance comes in. Like if y'all got it, my arrogance came in. When are y'all going to start listening to me? I'm telling y'all, I know what I'm talking about. Y'all listen to me. Just once listen to me.
Hey, like dude, listen to you on the cover, right?
Exactly. Come on, man.
Scoop Jackson in the building, all ball Chicago, baby.
Man, nothing but love, man. This was
appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, let's get that date set for February, man, and we off and running, man.
Let's set it up. I'm all good. We'll pick a day and we'll make it happen. It's all good.
That's right, man. Love you, man.
I mean, love y'all. Appreciate it.
Take care, Scoop. All right, big dog.
All right, man. Talk to y'all. Hey, Rob, tell Mark I still need to get with him.
Absolutely. I'll hit him up today.
Yeah. Tell him I still need to get him because tell him it's time. Just tell him Scoop said it's time. He'll know what I'm talking about.
All right, bet.
All right?
All right, bro.
All right, fellas. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate it, Scoop.
All right.
Marcus, that was 2 hours, man.
2 hours, man. Scoop can talk, man. Scoop can talk, man.
Hey, that's
Scoop. He's a journalist.
He gave us the scoop.
He gave us the scoop, man.
It was like talking to Spike Lee. That's why I asked him that question. I felt.
No,
Spike
he said
Lee.
that. He said that before in an article. I remember.
Did he?
That. Yeah. That he looked up to Spike Lee, man, and you look at it, he kind of got some. He's short, just like him, you know.
Right, is the whole talk like him, the whole demeanor.
Yeah,
and I just love the fact he's from Chicago, so he took care of us, man.
Yeah, but we got to also tell some of our listeners that we apologize because we wanted to get to all the questions, but we couldn't because Scoop, when he started talking about certain subjects and topics, we kept going in on it, like LeBron James. We talked about that. And Kobe. Then we went to Allen Iverson. So I don't want you guys to get upset because we tried to get to all of the questions. It just couldn't happen. All right. So we apologize for that. But when you have somebody like Scoop who has the scoop on a lot of things that are going on, we gotta let him go. We gotta let him roll with it. We gotta let him roll with it.
Because he got the info. He got the stuff that we want. So.
Yeah,
we'll be back though, y'all. Let's get some shout out. Who we got?
We got Courtney Adams. She's kind of mad because she said, "Courtney, don't be mad because we didn't do this on purpose." I tried to put up a lot of those questions, but he just couldn't get to all of them. So I was trying. I'm over here trying to ask questions and put y'all comments up and try to get involved in the conversation. So I'm trying to do a lot. I got a lot of hats over here.
Yes, he do.
So we appreciate you.
He's our technical supervisor over there. He's over there.
Who ball Scoop, man? Always, man. A pleasure, man. Did you be on there? But I wanted to get to that 76ers question, 1983 team with Doc and Moses. But again, we couldn't get to him, man. So and I got to run, and Bob got to run. Well, Bob said he doesn't have to run today. He said
I'm gonna work from home.
Yeah, but I gotta go do me, man. I gotta get with these little shorties, man, and teach them the game of basketball, man.
Well, do your thing, man. Make sure y'all swing over to the website, man, and check out the culture, man. I forgot to put this out. There we go. Make sure y'all get the culture, man. Go over there, www.culturedevices.com, man. Go and get the device. Hit us up, man. Live another great show, man. We'll be back on again Wednesday. We doubling back. We don't know who we gonna have, but we'll be back on at noon Wednesday.
Peace. I holla.
Welcome to All Ball. Format unique, all access for all y'all. What the spiel like? Back full of elite athletes that want to teaching, it speaks to the street, so it feel right. Marcus Liberty, a legend on and off the coat to give you what you need. Rivalries is your co-host. Go. Yeah. Like and subscribe and follow like a crossover. Never know what might fall through this bitch tomorrow. So, all ball Chicago. All ball Chicago. All